I'm a corporate attorney, right? But just sort of a heightened skill level because we do it in a really regulated and sort of nuanced industry. So we still provide all the same types of legal services. It's just we're able to function in these regulated industries as well.
I'm like thinking about investable business models all the time. This is an investable business model. Can I invest in you somehow? Maybe I should work for you, because the future is, unfortunately, but the reality, it's unfortunate because it's going to happen, but with a transition in the federal interstate commerce, intrastate, the interstate models are going to shift into some sort of interstate form. And with federal legalization, you're going to have all kinds of implications in licensing, in regulations, in finances,
Yes.
in mergers and acquisitions, in bankruptcies, international commerce,
Yep.
international trade. The number of nuances that your company is going to have to navigate are tremendous. And
Absolutely.
you are an expert in cultivating your particular brand, your retail or your delivery service, distribution service, or ancillary service. You are not an expert in all these other areas and all these other nuances. So you need a good relationship with the cannabis attorney.
Absolutely. And it's so important from the beginning. I think we talked about this yesterday. I was on an M&A panel, and so many folks, and I understand it. Look, in the beginning, you're focused on your business, and people think lawyers are expensive and this is expensive. But if you do it right from the beginning and you really create those relationships, it actually ends up being more cost effective. There's more value. And again, we can help with that vetting process for different opportunities, which in so many cases, people waste so much time and money because they don't have the team set up and they don't know where they're going and they don't have a plan and they don't have really trusted advisors who can help them. And that makes any process more efficient, whether you're expanding, deciding to expand, whether you're acquiring, do you want to do a merger, whatever your future looks like. If you don't have the right professionals, it's really difficult to pull that team together right when you're trying to actually make a difficult decision and vet, because there's so much that goes into it.
We are back here at MG Unpacked 2024, New Jersey, Atlantic City, Hard Rock Hotel Cafe Casino. It's fantastic. It's an important show, though, when it brings out the big dogs of the cannabis industry. And so we grabbed Laura Bianchi. That's fine. We can use it. We grabbed Laura Bianchi from Bianchi Brandt, one of the top law firms in the national cannabis space, maybe international cannabis space as well. I do not know. But we're going to find out. We're going to tell you a little bit about who Laura is, her journey through cannabis, because she has a great history. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's hot and what's happening next, and et cetera. So, Laura, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Is this your first MG Unpacked?
No, I spoke at the one in Detroit as well.
Okay.
Year.
I missed that one.
It was good.
Yeah, Michigan's a good market. I should have made it out there. But so, Laura, you have been in the industry, I think, as long as I've been in the industry.
I think so.
I
guess OGs? We need a different word for O.
You were at Rose Law Group in 2000.
To begin with, so when we first started working on this, obviously in 2010, I worked with Ryan Hurley, and it was, look, I'm a corporate attorney, right? I'm an M&A attorney, and this was one of those things where when the bill passed, they said, we need someone to work through the rulemaking process from a business perspective. It was new, no one really knew what to do, and so I said, sure, it's interesting, it's sort of entrepreneurial and different. I went to CU Boulder, so it was an easy transition.
To CU Boulder Law School or undergrad?
Undergrad. Yep.
Where'd you go to law school?
Vermont.
When did you graduate law school, Vermont?
Oh gosh, 2008.
Okay, that helps me. All these chronological things. No, that's all right. The cannabis industry ages you no matter what.
That's true.
So, 2011. Okay, you're the AMMA Arizona, one of the first medical programs passed in November 2010. 2011, we have rulemaking process, and so you were right there with Ryan Hurley.
Yeah.
The great Ryan Hurley. Man, tremendous respect for Ryan Hurley. Man's got a good heart. So 2011, you're doing the rulemaking process. How did they engage you? How did that happen?
It really, at Rose Law Group, we had a lot of clients who were entrepreneurial in the real estate industry. And so really, I think the angle and sort of the play from the beginning was real estate. And again, they needed someone who knew business, who, knew corporate work. And so we just started working through the rulemaking process with the Department of Health Services, and looking at it from a legal and a business perspective, because we didn't know what else. It was so brand new. There was only a few markets at the time. And so went back and forth. And once the rules were done, of course, we had clients that wanted to apply. And so it was sort of a natural, great, let's put together the applications. And that's really how it started.
That was such a great
It was
2012. No, because I didn't actually, you predate me, because I didn't get involved until 2012.
Crazy. Yep.
Because it was about the time, Will Humble was like, I'm going to do this. May 2012, they said here's the applications. August. No, they were due in May 2012.
That's when remember we had 2 years of lawsuits, right? So there was a delay where they gave out caregiver cards, but we didn't get the first dispensary license until 2012.
It was August 8, 2012. They did that lottery because my family won
the
one.
lottery ball, whole lottery machine.
And the whole summer I was telling my brother that he was going to get my dad thrown in jail. Because I was an AZ Post certified, I was a friend of DOJ, friend of BIA, FBI. I was a prosecutor, and I was like, these crazy hippies found a politically viable way to get high, but the feds are going to crush it. Because, there's I'm totally reversed now. Okay, I was 39. People about there know who I am. Yeah, but I was really like, what's this going on here? Because you cannot have a system. You do the dual systems. It just doesn't work. And then that was 2012. August 2012 was when I kind of really got involved. So,
Sure.
You are more of an OG than I am, so tremendous respect. So people started issuing licenses. You had some clients that won licenses, I assume, in 2012, August 8, 2012.
Yep. We submitted, I believe, the first application.
And then, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then you dove right into...
Yeah. Well, the licenses came out and everybody had been so focused on the rules and of course the lawsuits and getting things through. But then it was like, okay, now we have licenses. What do we do?
Right.
Like, yay. Yeah. Not sure what next.
They're looking at their attorneys, looking at their accountants. They're looking at their priest. They're like, nobody knows what to do.
And so for us, it was, I looked at the whole reason I like M&A is I love contracts, right? They're sort of a puzzle that you put together. Everyone is different. And I thought, well, let's treat this like a contract, right? We've got to figure out how do we get this, business up and operational? What are the requirements? The real estate and zoning piece was obviously still, being put together, and that was its own set of complications. And then we had all the challenges of banks not wanting to bank us. And then how do you actually run a business where you don't, necessarily have payroll and banking, and where does the insurance go through? And there were so many things that were unknown, but we all kind of went through it together and thought, all right, let's build these contracts. And every time we got better, because something would happen and we'd go, whoop, that didn't work. Let's try this.
That's interesting because that's the way it has to be. That's the way it needs to be. There's that uneasy tension between the OGs and how the cannabis world used to work on a handshake and your word. And if that didn't go well, no taxes, no regulations, no zoning. But the new world of cannabis is contracts, it's zoning, it's regulations, it's paperwork. That's just the way that most businesses function.
Yeah.
And so you were advising your clients appropriately right at the beginning, whereas everybody's trying to figure out how to navigate this. That's excellent. I never really reflected on that. So you started working with clients at Rose Law Group, and eventually you left Rose Law Group. What year? 2019.
We started Bianchi Brandt.
Oh, so you were there for 7 years. You were at Rose Law Group for like 10 years.
There, I started there as a law clerk.
Yeah, see, everybody always just knew Ryan Hurley. They didn't really understand what was under or working to support Ryan Hurley. We
had a lot of fun.
There was a lot of you guys back there. So 2019, you started Bianchi Brandt.
Yeah, it was one of those things, again, appreciated the opportunities, but for us, we'd had such great long-term relationships with our clients. Again, we had been through so much. You sort of go to war together, and not only had we helped them expand in Arizona, but throughout the United States. And so for us to really start to provide the services, and we wanted to provide it in a different way, right? Most lawyers have sort of this lane that they stay in. You go to an employment lawyer, you go to a litigator. And one thing we had learned in the cannabis industry is you have to be all things. I mean, you really become a trusted partner if you want to keep your clients, for the long term. And so it's more efficient for clients. I know it sounds sort of silly, but because we know their past, their, where they're trying to go, their strengths, their weaknesses, it allows us to help them focus on what they do because we're handling the stress, the liabilities, helping vet opportunities, helping them build, expand. We really had to do a lot of different areas of the law. And we also, worked a good amount internationally. We knew that eventually some other regulated industries would start popping up, like psychedelics and things like that. And so it was a perfect segue for us to really build a business that was different than most law firms.
And it's a cannabis specific law firm. It started as a cannabis specific law firm, but you always end up doing other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're full scale business litigation. A huge chunk of our clients obviously are, touching the cannabis industry in some way. But we've got a great labor and employment department that we have lots of non-cannabis clients. And, over time you do so much more. Cannabis, I always explain, people go, you're a cannabis attorney. Well, I'm a corporate attorney, right? But just sort of a heightened skill level because we do it in a really regulated and sort of nuanced industry. So we still provide all the same types of legal services. It's just we're able to function in these regulated industries as well.
I'm like thinking about investable business models all the time. This is an investable business model. Can I invest in you somehow? Maybe I should work for you because the future is, unfortunately, but the reality, it's unfortunate because it's going to happen, but with a transition in the federal interstate commerce, intrastate, the interstate models are going to shift into some sort of interstate form. And with federal legalization, you're going to have all kinds of implications in licensing, in regulations, in finances,
yes,
in mergers and acquisitions, in bankruptcies, international commerce,
yep,
international trade. The number of nuances that your company is going to have to navigate are tremendous. And
absolutely.
You are an expert in cultivating your particular brand, your retail or your delivery service, distribution service, or ancillary service. You are not an expert in all these other areas and all these other nuances. So you need a good relationship with the cannabis attorney. So
absolutely. And it's so important from the beginning. I think we talked about this yesterday. I was on an M&A panel and so many folks, and I understand it. Look, in the beginning, you're focused on your business and people think lawyers are expensive and this is expensive. But if you do it right from the beginning and you really create those relationships, it actually ends up being more cost effective. There's more value. And again, we can help with that vetting process for different opportunities, which in so many cases, people waste so much time and money because they don't have the team set up and they don't know where they're going and they don't have a plan and they don't have really trusted advisors who can help them. And that makes any process more efficient, whether you're expanding, deciding to expand, whether you're acquiring, do you want to do a merger? Whatever your future looks like, if you don't have the right professionals, it's really difficult to pull that team together right when you're trying to actually make a difficult decision in vet because there's so much that goes into it. So we like to have that ahead of time.
So what are you finding out here on the East Coast? Obviously, you're from Arizona because we went into that. And your firm started in Arizona, but you do national projects.
Yep.
All
We've
different
got clients
states.
in New Jersey.
So are you looking for more East Coast clients or?
Listen, good clients. I don't care where
Yeah.
you're located. I mean, that's the one thing is that we're always looking for good clients. I know it sounds funny, but if I can swear in the air, we always have a no asshole policy. There's enough in this industry, in any industry, that we want to form long-term trusted relationships. And so every market has its own nuances and things, but at the end of the day, it's a skill set that, that we have, that we've done really well throughout the nation. And of course, we love working on the East Coast. It's kind of back to where I feel like the West Coast was a few years ago. They're still getting up and sort of getting their feet wet and seeing what these programs are going to look like. So it's fun to be, more towards the beginning of it.
Are you guys specialists? And I think this is going to be a huge area for everyone to look at because what I see happening is there's all these brands out there, not retail brands, but actually brands here at MG Unpacked that are hoping to be the first ones that are financed to expand.
Yeah.
When federal legalization happens, sometime in the next 5-10 years, whatever, maybe next month. No one really knows. But I always think to myself, it's going to be a race to the stock market. For a lot of these brands. And in order to get there, you need to have all your CPA stuff in line, your legal stuff in line.
Yep.
Do you guys help with that process?
We absolutely do. And, in a lot of ways, and again, this is something Justin and I enjoy doing and our whole team, but we almost provide fractional leadership outside general counsel services, which helps, right? In other words, really looking, if we haven't been there from the beginning, once we come in, we do an assessment, we see where your business is, we want an understanding of what you want, where you're going, what your goals are, so that we form that trusted relationship and we can help you start to plan for those things. Because again, whether it is legalization, descheduling, rescheduling, all the things that we're talking about right now. In order to go forward as a sophisticated business, you have to have your corporate structure put together. You need to know, what do you need in financing? You need to know your ownership and decision making. And those sorts of things sound silly when I say them, but I can't tell you how many deals and how many entrepreneurs fail because of those very basic things. And so when we can really put your foundation into place and make sure it's strong and keep building from there, it really allows for long-term success versus this constant stop and start and fight, which is usually what ensues if you don't have those things.
You guys are amazing. Your career is amazing. Your knowledge is amazing. Your expertise in cannabis is amazing. And we really appreciate you being here so that we can share it with the audience. But I do want to ask you about your mixed martial arts stuff. Well, no, I have tremendous respect because, I mean, it's one of those things, the greatest love that you can give yourself is discipline.
Yep.
And when you get out there and you do things at the level that you've done them in martial arts, it's discipline. And so it's a great, it's probably more important, the most important aspect of your life.
It's a metaphor for everything. I know it sounds
this
silly.
is just work.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it ends up being life. But, it's one of those things. My sister and I got involved in it years ago. At this point, I still train with my coach. Obviously, it's a great release, but it's also, you get to see another world of folks that, first of all, come together that you probably wouldn't meet. There's people from all different walks of life, all different professions that all come together in these gyms. It really creates a family, but it also creates, the ability to sort of think when adversity and chaos is facing you. And there's no better metaphor for the cannabis industry. You have to be able to go, okay, that's not working. Someone's coming right at me. How do I pivot? How do I deal with this? Because if you are not one of those people that can do that, the cannabis industry will kill you. And so, it's a great way for me to keep everybody safe by going and punching and kicking the right things.
Yeah.
At this point, it's more fitness than anything. Nobody's going to pay me to go in an octagon, but I still really enjoy it. I love my coach, Ramon Salazar. He's awesome. And it's a great stress reliever at the end of the day.
I like bringing it up because it's a great compliment. It's a great, it's a significant part of your life. You know what I'm saying? It's fantastic. But it also makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring it back to me. When you're in the room, I know that, something goes wrong, everything will be fine. And, anyways, but
easy way or the hard way.
But yeah, so no, it's great. Thank you for catching up with us, and we'll probably catch up with you at another conference soon, maybe 5 years from now.
Hey,
you're young.
Well, yeah.
She's like saying retirement now. You're young. You're going to be here for another 10, 15, 20 years.
For sure. It keeps changing and evolving, and it's a lot of fun.
Bianchi Brandt, how do we find you?
Sure. So we're located in Scottsdale, Arizona. Again, we still work throughout the U.S. You can find us at www.bianchibrandt.com. You can look up Laura Bianchi online. Shoot me a email, text. I would love to chat. We're always open to new relationships and new partnerships and trying to bring the right people together, because that's really how we all succeed. And then we avoid the bad actors and keep pushing them out.
And so your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Facebook, everything will be out there on our thing. Don't worry about that. What's the fastest way that you return things? Texts, emails, LinkedIn?
Yeah, usually LinkedIn is not the way to get me.
But there you
Shoot
go.
me an email.
See, that's an honest thing. Shoot her an email if you want to get back to her.
Email. Yep, give the firm a call.
That's what I was getting at. All right, so thank you, Laura, for joining us, and we will be back with another great person here at MG Unpacked 2024.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.